A couple of months ago, we're driving to the seaside with my two sons discussing how it sucks that iPad battery didn't last to the final destination, and why, oh why, they put both chargers and power bank somewhere deep in the luggage. I remembered how we did it in the old days, when I was a kid, back in the end of 70s in the previous century. The highway ended way before. Consequently, the trip was much longer. Not to forget, we traveled with, for that times, at least for our region, quite a standard car. I have to say, I like their commercial. Not often do we see a male model in a car commercial, and having a cello is just a bonus. Sorry for the poor quality though, like I said, this is from the previous century. In this close relative of the car built for economy, not speed, Bruce Willis drove in Die Hard. Our car infotainment system was something like this. A standard companion in those days that would totally puzzle today's kids. I tortured my parents and older sister with selected tapes of Biene Maya and similar kids-appropriate materials, while often even leaning between the front seats and checking what is going on the road. For younger audience, back then the seat belts in the back were not part of the equipment yet. Such different times.
V mobilnem omrežju prihodnosti ni pomembno le, da hitro in udobno pridemo od točke A do točke B. Samovozeča vozila so učinkovita, zagotavljajo večjo prometno varnost in so prijazna do okolja. V realnem času zaznajo nevarnosti, najdejo prosta parkirna mesta in samodejno poiščejo naslednjo polnilno postajo. Izzive transporta blaga in osebnega prometa brezskrbno rešujemo s pametnimi vlaki, optimizirano letališko infrastrukturo in samodejno krmiljenimi letalniki. Prihodnost mobilnosti se samodejno izvaja v ozadju, da se lahko osredotočimo na stvari, ki nam v življenju pomenijo največ.
So we can focus on the essential things in life. A1 Slovenia is the leading private provider of integrated communication services in Slovenia. Company is owned by Telecom Austria Group and is an important part of leading digital solutions and communications provider in Central and Eastern Europe. We invest a lot of money in infrastructure. In Austria, we already acquired spectrum for 5G rollout. We are becoming one of the most relevant cloud hosting providers. Stretch also to other markets, Germany, for example, with our set of non-telco ICT services. The group is a European unit of América Móvil, one of the largest wireless service providers in the world, and that brings scalability. Coming from telecommunication provider, it's all about service. Let us take a look on how the journey to autonomous cars started. First initiatives started with the legislative requirements around eCall, emergency call in case of accident. Then manufacturers of cars, since they had the car connected, asked themselves what other information they could get. Remote maintenance control. Can we get diagnostic data of the car outside of the factory? Moreover, if I know how the car is performing, how can I link customer back to me as an automotive brand? Many times the problem is that when the car gets older, people do not use the authorized dealer. They go to the guy next door, to them that it does it cheaper. That is a huge loss for the main dealer. How can they use connectivity in that sense? Then there was a question how to sell more services with more bandwidth through the infotainment. And the next stop was autonomous car. How can we use the connectivity to let car drive himself and we do not have to do anything? So the question was, How we could combine B2B and B2C service? Well, it can be done fairly simple, with two channels in case of the internet in the car technology. On B2B, you have eCall and diagnostics, and on B2C, infotainment system, using two different APNs. So multiple entities can connect through the same point of contact. And this is the point where we start thinking about vehicle-to-vehicle communication that is on the way to the autonomous vehicle. Connected car is not a technology, it's a service. But it also needs to have a real value. Customer needs to buy the outcome. They don't need to be informed that their car was stolen on a parking lot of their local airport while they are lying on the beach on the other side of the ocean. That will just raise their blood pressure. What customer needs is information that the car was stolen, police is informed, and when you come home to the local airport, a car will be available to drive home. So connectivity should be used for preparing an end customer service that someone is willing to pay for. You need to have a service concept. When you look at the connected car, some services have been around for a while. For example, fleet management, usage-based insurance, eCall. Others are just being established, like crash reconstruction, where various data about the accident is gathered and sent directly to the insurance company. In addition, there are many other services that come in the connected car before you even come to the autonomous vehicle. Can we really be sure that autonomous driving will address the challenges and solve mobility problems of the future? Estimation provided by our partner Vodafone clearly shows an increase of consumption per vehicle in the coming years. But what is even more interesting are the actual use cases with either B2B data impact or consumer data impact. In the light of our today's panel about content and autonomous marketplace for the self-driving era, I personally was surprised that in-car VR gaming is taking the top spot. In 2019, 82% of vehicles sold featured a touchscreen, compared to 53% 5 years ago. In the digital age, the in-vehicle infotainment system has become a way of setting vehicles apart from the masses. In 2019, Tesla is offering Netflix and YouTube applications on its in-car entertainment system. Car manufacturers can choose between two routes to build in these new functions. Develop applications themselves based on their own infotainment system OS, or integrate Apple CarPlay or Android Auto so they can run their existing applications. However, most manufacturers favor the second option, preferring to use Google and Apple ecosystems. Manufacturers still incur substantial costs developing and maintaining numerous software applications. How will we get there? How will we end up in the car on the right side that actually sums up what is wrong with the whole concept, working from the car? When talking about connected car, one should be thinking about mobility as a whole. With a few dedicated vehicle connectivity technologies around, is there one that has the most benefits? Experts say that is Celluar Vehicle-to-Everything. Why CV2X? Many automakers are adding CV2X connectivity to their vehicles because it has several key advantages over DSRC1, a variant of Wi-Fi and other technologies designed to enable vehicle-to-vehicle communications. CV2X can provide levels of security, range, latency, and reliability that have been proven to greatly exceed the capabilities of DSRC. Leverage the comprehensive coverage of secure and well-established LTE networks, reducing the amount of roadside infrastructure that needs to be installed and maintained by municipalities and highway agencies in both urban and rural areas. Enable highly reliability real-time communication at high speeds and high-density traffic. Support both short-range and long-range transmissions between vehicles and roadside infrastructure using the cost-effective module. Harness 5G networks to support fully autonomous driving, as well as being backwards compatible with 4G. Leverage the robust security built into cellular networks. C-V2X builds upon the services already offered in the connected vehicle today, such as pay-as-you-go drive insurance, vehicle diagnostics, e-call, and connected infotainment by adding critical safety features that allow the vehicle to share data in real time. C-V2X helps vehicles avoid accidents, work together on the road, and even detect road hazards beyond the driver's field of vision. Ultimately, C-V2X will play a pivotal role in enabling the deployment of fully autonomous vehicles, which will transform the way people travel. The Car-to-X communication system available in, for example, new Volkswagen Golf automatically talks to other vehicles and warns the driver before he sees or hears any danger. But the efficiency of connecting a car to another car or transport infrastructure is today limited by the capacity of the existing communication network. This is also why, for example, Golf only sees about 300 meters in front via the Car-to-X system. The fifth generation mobile network enables much more. That is because it can connect significantly more devices to the communication network, and secondly, because data rates are much higher than existing capacity. Cars will be connected to much wider communication networks in the future. Our car will monitor road conditions and developments in a range of a few kilometers around us. An ultra-low latency network is essential for V2X implementation to high-speed vehicles. And this map is just an example, so you can see the current density of our base stations at one part of highway in Slovenia. In-vehicle infotainment systems are connection point between car manufacturer, consumers, and additional services. Modern generation of EYE provides anything from connected entertainment and audio offerings to navigation, booking, and payment services. Autonomy changes everything for infotainment. Video consumption will become #1 in in-car entertainment medium. EVI will offer an interface for additional services, such as streaming video and location-based advertising. Additionally, needs of millennial drivers and increase in ride-sharing will influence the growing need for rear-seat entertainment services. Consumers want localized content with flexibility to change as markets evolve. An attractive initial approach is to provide a substantial app store so that car users can use their existing subscriptions to access the third-party content services they love. Society of Automotive Engineer classification is using 5 levels of autonomy. Level 2 is partial automation. Car assists with steering and braking simultaneously. But driver's attention is required at all times. Both Tesla's Autopilot and GM's Super Cruise are examples of that. Level 3 is conditional automation, where certain circumstances allow the car to handle most aspects of driving, and the driver has the ability to temporarily take their eyes off the road. Most experts say we are now between level 2 and 3, so supervision of the driver is still required. So is it simply limits of these systems is holding us back? There are numbers of other factors in our way. For starters, the roads. Potholes, poor lane markings, missing signs are not going to support high-tech well. Traffic infrastructure is important. Communication also has to be in place, and once these two are handled, let us not forget about the traffic laws. Governments have a number of important decisions to make for society to transition to self-driving vehicles. In the beginning stages, they will have to define what weather conditions are appropriate for vehicles to be operating fully autonomously, since many of the systems can be disrupted by rain and snow. They can look for guidance in the airline industry, who doesn't hesitate to cancel flights if conditions are bad. They will also have to address how self-driving cars will navigate amongst the traditional cars. Possible solution being designated lanes, like in case of buses. Moreover, liability. In case of accidents, who is liable? Result of all of the before-mentioned activities will be the mobility model of the future, with many benefits. Now is the best time to be in automotive or in telecommunication business, as this is where it's all going to happen. We are not an ordinary telco. We are the misfits, disruptors, and challenge seekers that can support you in developing the future of mobility in the best real-life environment, on our backyard in BTC City, where also AVE Living Lab resides. Thank you.